that women who don't have children don't typically regret it,
And she goes on to say that women that have kids sometimes regret it. And I would dare say that we don't regret the children, we regret the situation that created the children. I met a guy last year and we were just casually dating. And one of the things he said to me was, if I had met you sooner, I would have given you some babies. And I was like, dude, I didn't have kids because I didn't want to have kids, not because I didn't meet great men. I personally did not want to have kids. So I didn't have them. I was never the person that was like chomping at the bit to have a baby. That was not me. Even if I got married at 28, I had my first child at 40. The doctors, when they told me at about 35 that I couldn't have kids, I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I got pregnant at 40. And I often think back on my relationship and I said, I think that was the beginning of the end of my marriage, because having a child brought so much extra responsibility and stress to the relationship, stress that we were not accustomed to because we had been child free for so long. And then I had to quit my job because I got super sick, and I had a super demanding job. I had to quit my job in order to be home for the kid, which I was okay with. But then my ex-husband just wakes up one day and decides that he doesn't want to be married to me anymore. And now I am a single parent in my 40s, something that I were actively against. So I never regretted having my son, but I look at the irony of I am a single mother in my 40s after I spent my 20s avoiding that situation like the plague. And it's not lost on me that my ex-husband now dates women with no children. Yet here I am, the one that made all of the sacrifices, made decisions with him to have a child, then made the sacrifices that came along with parenting said child, and then he just ups and leaves and like, this shit is too hard, I don't want to do it no more. And then goes off in the world and then find other women that do not have children. Yet here I am, still with the responsibility of raising another human. So I never regret it. I love my kid. Oh my God, he's like the best, smartest, funniest, like changed my life. Amazing. I never regretted having him, but the irony of the situation is not lost on me. That I had a child with a man that then decided I don't want to do this shit no more, and peace out, and left, and now only date child-free women.
There is a conversation going on TikTok. Women with children and women without children. That is child-free by choice women and parents. Who regrets later on? Who when it comes to probably later in life, who has the most regrets in their decision? You know, do the parents regret having the child, or the child free by choice woman regret taking out their womb or trying to choose a child free life? Who on the long run regrets having children? And that's what today's video is all about. Hey beautiful people, how you doing today? My name is Maria David and I'm a content creator based in Lagos, Nigeria. So first of all, I'm going to share a video for you all to watch. This video shows statistics of who regrets later on. So kindly sit down, relax and watch while we talk about the video.
So a lot of you have been asking me to provide information and proof about this emerging data that I talked about that shows that women who don't have children don't typically regret it, and that women who do have children sometimes do regret it. It's not really brain science, I mean, if you think about it. And I know it blows people's minds because from what I can tell, being a woman without children on the internet, it seems like about 80% of the world population thinks that women like me are going to be in a hellscape that we cannot even possibly imagine after 40. But I am well into my 40s and there's no hellscape. But for those of you who didn't want to go look it up yourself, I will show you right here. This article is a really great source because it kind of puts everything together in one space so you don't have to go to a million different sites. It's pushing back on this idea that women without children will regret their decisions one day. Here it is explicitly stating that new research suggests that people without children, people who chose not to have children, do not regret their decisions. It's right there in print. Again, reiterating, people who are child-free, they're all pretty happy with their decisions. We found no evidence that older child-free adults experience any more life regret than older parents. In fact, older parents were slightly more likely to want to change something about their life. Then it goes on to list all of the studies that have already suggested that this is the case. It seems that data tends to trend toward the people who have children are the ones who regret things in their life more than people who didn't have children. And you can see all of that right here. This also references a 10-year-old Gallup survey, which says that 7% of American parents older than 45 wouldn't have any kids if they had to do it over again. I would guess that that number is even higher if we had a society that allowed people to talk about their honest feelings around parenthood. And there are even Facebook groups like this that are growing in popularity. And yes, this is real. So there you go. There's the start of your research journey. If you want to learn more, you know where to find it.
When you tell people you want to be child-free by choice, you don't want to have children for the rest of your life, people tend to start judging you and tell you you're going to regret your decision at the end of the day. But now statistics is showing that women that choose not to have children and women that decide to have children, the ones that had their child or children later in life, they tend to like regret their decision, and you know, if they can take back that time, they will not even bother having children at all. So now, who is winning this case? I'd like to know what you all think down in the comment section. I have few stitches to share with you all, so kindly stay back, relax, and continue watching while I hear your thought down in the comment section. I'm going to talk about my own opinion at the end of all the stitches.
Regret their decisions. It's right there.
Thank you, Yil, for making this video. And I so completely agree with the choice to have children or the choice to not have children should be such a conscious choice. And the more I really believe that the reason why people in general are happier with the choice not to have children is because it was such a conscious choice, because it is, you have to go against the grain. You have to kind of separate yourself from the mass consciousness of like, okay, this is just what we do. And I think so the choice to have children is often so unconscious. It's often so just based on biology. It's based on society. It's based on this mass consciousness, or this is just what we do. This is what you do when you have a partner. This is where you come from. So in my classes, I pay so much attention to this conscious choice to have a child, and to really go beyond all that programming, to really come to yourself and to from there feel, do I want a child or do I not? Which means that you bring in a soul, that it's not just like you just have a tiny mini me, but it's a complete intelligent soul that you bring in, that you open up to, and that you can have a relationship with even before conception. And when you come to this place, and when you go through all these decisions for yourself and really feel into them and let it really like kind of emerge from your soul, then you come to this decision, then either yes or no to have a child, then what happens is that energies start to work a whole different way. So yes, if you choose not to, it will feel very satisfying. It will, because it's a really deep choice. And if you choose to have children, you send out another signal. So what happens with so many births is that this choice of having children is very unconscious, and you send out a very distorted image energy, and that's the energy that you get. So a lot of women get children that they don't feel connected to, that they're like, who are these beings? And that's because it never was a conscious choice. And I think this is so important in these times that we're living in, that we come to this place of really, really taking the time of letting this answer emerge of the choice to have children. And when you choose to have very consciously to have a child, then you attract a very conscious soul, and that is very satisfying.
Who don't have children don't typically regret it, and that women who do have children some.
As a child-free woman, I could have told you this without a study, that it was likely the case. But I am so glad that we finally have some definitive proof that there is less regret among child-free women than those who have children. I'm not glad that people who choose to have children, women especially, have more regrets. That's like, doesn't bring me joy. What brings me joy is that so often I get basically mocked on this app for talking about my child-free experience and saying like, hey, you're going to die alone, you're going to have regret and all this other bull crap, to be frank. Or I always get the question of, what are you going to do if you regret it? I'd rather regret not having a child than regret bringing a child into this world, affecting my life and their life, first of all. But second of all, so many women on this app that are child-free have shared time and time again that we feel nothing but joy when we look back on our decisions, and it is not something we regret. How can you regret living for your truth, putting yourself first, making decisions that empower you, especially when it comes to if you don't want children? Now, if you want them, power to you. Like those, like same thing goes. Like if you made the decision, you really want kids, and you make that empowered decision, you do something that speaks to your truth, you'll likely have less regret. But I'm so sick of this concept of, oh, women who don't have children are regretful, sad creatures. It's not the case. We are living our lives to the fullest, and every single day we are living for ourselves, not in regret.
Chose not to have children do not regret their decisions.
I'd also bet a very large sum of money that the number of parents that are willing to openly say that they regret having kids is underwhelming. And that's because society would overall look at them like they're monsters. But we're not ready to talk about that yet.
So a lot of you have been asking me to provide information and proof about this emerging data that I.
Having a child is a bit like getting a tattoo on your face. You would want to be really, really sure it's what you want. But many people don't really think about it that hard. They kind of just go into it going, it's what you do, it's kind of the done thing, I'm a certain age, etc., etc. I don't have kids, but my best friend always said to me, until you want it with your whole heart and you're 100% all in and ready to sacrifice every single day, don't do it. Because even if it's what you wanted, since you were a small child yourself, it is the hardest thing you will ever do. And she is a parent, she's a fantastic parent. And I think the people who have chosen not to have children, or not to have children for a time, depending on how they're going, have probably thought about it and thought about the actual ins and outs and reality of it more than people who go, oh well, it's just what you do, and don't really think about it at all. And if you go back and you ask, so I had a lot of very honest older women in my family. You go back and ask someone of your grandparents' generation or even your parents who didn't have as much choice as we have now. They didn't have the financial freedom that women have now. They didn't have the ability to kind of live independently outside of marriage. They didn't have family planning the way that we have now. Many of them would say they wouldn't have kids if they could choose now. If they could live now as a child-free woman who could work and have nice things and have a good life. Not that you can't have a good life with children, you can. A lot of them would choose that. Many women back then didn't have a choice. So yeah, it's a really interesting statistic. It's a really interesting video around, turns out most of the people who actively choose that they don't want to be a parent don't regret it. And if you've ever seen Seth Rogen's interview about this, it's really good. So yeah, perfectly valid choice. Choosing to be a parent, choosing not to be a parent, we actually have those choices now, which is great.
Sticking around to this point, if you enjoyed this video, kindly like, subscribe and comment, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this particular topic down in the comment section. it's not always very good to force your opinion on someone. And if you choose to be child free by choice, you have your own reasons. And I feel like people should respect women that decide not to have children and to go childless for the rest of their life. Then when you decide to have a child, then this is for you as well. As a parent, you know that you cannot undo whatever you've done already. You cannot undo having a child. You've have it already, and it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life. So before making that decision, it's always very, very, very advisable for you to like think twice and look at if you really want it, because at the end of the day, so you are not going to regret your decision. Not regretting the child itself, but regretting having those children. So now, but when it comes to child free by choice, I feel like I don't know why people always try to attack people that are child free by choice. When I go to TikTok and I see videos of women that are child free by choice coming to say how they're enjoying their lives, how they are free, they can travel around, there's nobody to disturb them, you know, they're basically just living their life and happy. People like parents will come and be like, oh, you're just being proud, or you're just showing off, or like they're just trying to show off something that is not true. But then when you look at it the other way, when a woman have a child and she start posting it, oh, I have a baby, I just gave birth, you know, sharing a pregnancy journey, sharing all of that, what do we call that? Should we say that she's just proud or she's just showing off? No, it's something that you enjoy doing, something that you're proud of, something that it's not basically a show off. It's just something of real, it's like just your life that you're sharing for people. So I don't see why people like to censor people that are child free by choice. They just decide to censor them and be like, you guys should just shut up because you're enjoying your life because you're child free. Doesn't mean that you should tell everybody that you're enjoying your life. Yes, they have to let women know that you can have a choice to stay child free, or you can have a choice for you to have a child. Like, and if you say child free, doesn't mean that your life is going to be miserable. They need to let people know that, and that is one thing parents should actually stop doing, you know. And another thing I feel like parents does is, most people that have children, one thing they do is when you don't have child and you be like you want to be child free, they will talk you into having a child or having a child or 2 or 3, and once you already have that child, then the next they'll tell you, now you have it, now you already know how it is, that is how we are managing. Like, they don't really tell you the real truth of what you're really going in for until you are there. So when you're there, that will start telling you, okay, you're welcome to the club, this is how we do it here, yada yada yada. They're not really open up. They won't open up to you and tell you this is how it is. That's what parents does to people that have not given birth. They don't open up to you. But people that are child free by choice, they let you know this is the pros and cons, these are things you're going to face. They let you know, like, they open it up for you, and they let you see what you're going to enjoy, and at the end of the day, what you might not enjoy at the end of the day. And people are entitled to their decisions, their opinion, whether they want to live their life. If a woman decides to be child free, or if a man decides to be child free, probably they've thought about it and they'll be like, okay, this is what I want for myself, and then let it be. Everybody's not going to have a child. Okay, and now statistics is even showing that women that decide to have child, or parents that have child, they tend to regret their life decisions later on. And if you ask them again if they should go back and have that child, they'll tell you no, they want to be child free. So now, who is winning this case? I would say the child free by choice women. They shouldn't stop what they're actually bringing up on the internet, trying to make people see that yes, you can be child free and be happy, and you might not have regrets. You might have regrets, but it is not the way people see it. And yeah, you can also live your life even without a child and be happy regardless. And yeah, that's my thoughts about this particular topic, and thank you all so much for sticking around to this point. I hope you enjoyed this one. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe and all of that good stuff. And of course, I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.